everyone, welcome to WatchMojo.com TV show. I'm your host, Mihaela Koman. On this show, we'll bring you some of the best videos on sports, cars, travel, and music from WatchMojo.com, one of the world's largest video sites on the internet. If you like what you see on the show, come check out our site at www.WatchMojo.com. On today's episode, we'll take a look at modified cars and the sport of drifting. We'll visit Austria. We'll have interviews with Lady Gaga, Ewa Avila, and Krisha Turner. But to kick things off, we're going to take a look at some of the types of the fastest growing sport in the world, mixed martial arts.
Hi, welcome to WatchMojo.com. I'm your host, Layla. Today we go in depth with one of the leading experts in White Crane Kung Fu, who tells us about this traditional martial art.
Basically, White Crane Kung Fu is a style of traditional Kung Fu that comes from Fujian in China, which is a province in southern China. The White Crane style was invented by a woman, and consequently the system focuses on dodging and striking pressure points. So our main fist technique is this way. So it's almost as if we're trying to nail points like a dagger. Originally it was meant as a self-defense method in the crudest possible means. In other words, people die, but this is 400 years ago. They trained with weapons. Obviously it wasn't for art, it was to defend the village. Of course today the health benefits, people who do martial arts tend to eat well, go to bed early, train every day. So when you're 40, you're probably in better shape than most of your friends. So of course there's a benefit to that too, and you have some skill in self-defense if ever the need arises.
Can it just be a hobby as well?
It can be a hobby, but you have to take things in their proper perspective. In today's society, everybody's in a hurry. They want to learn violin in 5 quick, easy lessons. You can't learn violin that way. If you do Kung Fu once a week, it's okay, it's better than nothing, but you can't really think you're doing Chinese martial arts. Most people would train at least an hour a day, 6 days a week.
I see that you have some weapons here. Is that just to develop skill?
So of course, originally these weapons were used in combat. For us, we're still using them with a combat approach in mind. Now, of course, in a civil society, I'm not going to grab a big sword and run down the street. What we can do, however, because we're training with heavy weapons, like traditionally, those heavy weapons will make us develop our arms, shoulders, body dynamics, also in complete systems like White Crane. We have so many weapons that after studying about 18 weapons, anything becomes a weapon. This microphone is a deadly weapon. The rope around the microphone, your shoe is a deadly weapon. So once you know how to use so many weapons, anything you have in your possession can become a weapon, and that's one of the goals.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
That was Layla with Kung Fu. But not to be outdone, let's now look at Glenn's feature on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where we're going to learn about different positions and some advanced fighting techniques.
Hi, I'm Glenn McKenzie for WatchMojo.com. We're here to show you a little bit of what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is.
Jiu-Jitsu is basically ground fighting. I would say, probably 85% of it is ground fighting. Your goal is basically to take your opponent down and manipulate him in a way that he's going to submit. There's 2 different aspects, I would say. You've got the Jiu-Jitsu that you could use on the street, and then you have the sport Jiu-Jitsu. There's no striking.
Do you think Jiu-Jitsu is something that anybody can pick up off the street, or is it something that you need to be a little athletic at?
One aspect that I really admire about Jiu-Jitsu more than any other art is the ability for a young student to catch on quickly. Most people don't know how to fight on the ground, and Jiu-Jitsu is based on technique. If they come to school often 3 or 4 times a week, after 6 months, they're quite proficient. I want the student to be as very well-rounded as possible, and I believe the first probably 6 months to a year is probably the most important training they're going to get. That's the base of what's going to grow. Basically what we just do is add techniques to all the different positions. I try to make it as simplified as possible, so you have to take all the thinking out of it and just react as naturally as possible.
Would you say that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is more of an art form, or is it more of a practical-based martial art?
Oh, it's definitely a practical-based martial art. Excellent for self-defense. It's very good for women because you don't really need a lot of strength to become proficient at it. Strength is secondary. You just need to be as technical as possible. Generally takes quite a few years before you can become very, very proficient in it. You have to be patient. The guard position is a position where you'll notice Angelica has her legs wrapped around her opponent. In this position here, she can use her legs to push her opponent back. Here, George is putting on an armbar, okay, from that particular position. She's also doing a choke from that particular position. The half guard position is one that can be used also for submissions. See, she's doing a guillotine choke there. It's used as a transition position, actually. The opponent gets halfway out of the guard, and the guy in the bottom Instead of allowing him to get out completely, she wraps her legs around the one leg, so that's called the half guard position. This is called a cross-body position. Very, very popular position. It's good to set up numerous submissions. What's dangerous about this position is once she has attained this position, she can control her opponent, and she will do a transition into what we call the mounted position, where she's on right now. It's an offensive and dominant position. In a street fight, it's probably the worst place to be if you're Angelica on the ground on the back.
So what's Georgia doing right now to Ord here?
Georgia's doing some MMA moves. What she just did there was she more or less faked the leg kick and used her leg to pull herself in to take Ord down. She was using the leg kick to get close enough in so that she could take him down, and then she put him on his back and put a choke on him.
So right now, what's Anthony and Scooby demonstrating?
They're doing your typical judo takedown leg sweep. The defense to that, using his technique against Anthony's takedown.
Slipping him into an armbar there.
Yeah, that's right. Anthony was taking him down, and now, because he was the aggressor, Scooby used his aggression against him and locked an armbar on him.
What are we going to be demonstrating here with Anthony and Ord?
Anthony's doing what we call a single leg takedown. Now, Ord locked him in what we call a guillotine, which is a choke. So as Anthony tries to take him down, Ord uses his aggression against him again and locks on a choke.
Okay, so the guillotine choke is basically like he's wrapping his arms around his neck and using that as pressure against his...
Yes. And he also puts his legs around his back and uses his hips to further tighten up the choke.
So it looks like Anthony's going for some kind of a leg lock on Ord. Is this...
Yes, that's correct. Leg locks are used in jiu-jitsu. Very devastating. They put a lot of pressure on the knees. Now, you see Ord did the defense to that leg lock and just put another leg lock on Anthony. So Anthony puts this leg lock in, Ord slips out of it, and immediately goes to another leg lock.
Welcome back to the WatchMojo.com TV show. In today's travel destination, we take a look at the culture and castles of Austria and visit its capital, Vienna. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brayton and welcome to WatchMojo.com. From the country that was the setting for The Sound of Music, we give you a list of cultural sites that you can't miss when traveling in Austria. The Museum Quarter is the 7th district of the city of Vienna, Austria. It is the 8th largest cultural area in the world. The Museum Quarter contains Baroque buildings as well as modern architecture. The MQ is home to a range of installations from large art museums like the Leopold Museum to contemporary exhibition spaces. The Archaeological Museum Carnuntenum lies in the present village Bad Deutsch-Altenburg. The most important excavations from the ancient city can be seen here. The Kunsthistorisches Museum in Vienna, housed in its festive palatial building on the Ringstrasse, crowned with an octagonal dome, is one of the premier museums of fine arts and decorative arts in the world. The Vienna Secession was part of the highly varied secessionism movement that is now covered by the general term Art Nouveau. Unlike other movements, there is no one style that unites the work of all artists who were part of the Vienna Secession. The Secession building could be considered the icon of the movement. Above its entrance was carved the phrase, "To every age its art, and to art its freedom." St. Paul's Abbey is a Benedictine monastery in the village of St. Paul im Lavental in the Austrian state of Carinthia. The abbey possesses one of the largest collections of art in Europe, including graphics, coins, sacred art, and paintings, as well as an extensive and important library of over 180,000 books and manuscripts from between the 5th and the 18th centuries. Melk Abbey is an historic Austrian Benedictine abbey and one of the world's most famous monastic sites. It is located above the town of Melk on a rocky outcrop overlooking the river Danube in the federal state of Lower Austria, adjoining the Wachau Valley. It has the rare distinction of surviving as an active Benedictine monastery continuously since its foundation.
Today's impressive Baroque abbey was built between 1702 and 1736. Particularly noteworthy is the abbey church with frescoes and the impressive library with countless medieval manuscripts. The Golden Roof is a landmark in Innsbruck, Austria, built in 1500. It was decorated with 2,657 fire-gilded copper tiles for Maximilian I, a Holy Roman Emperor. The reliefs on the balcony show coats of arms, symbols, and other figures in his life. The Emperor and others used this balcony to watch events in the square below. Salzburg is most certainly a city of music. It was the home and birthplace of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and the memorial to him at the Salzburg Mozart Square honors the city's most famous son. Eastern Austria is castle country, and the Schloss to beat all Austrian Schlosser may be Burgforchtenstein. The fortress in Burgenland overlooks the Hungarian plains from a position so invincible that the Turks failed to seize it during their invasions of 1529 and 1683. The Esterhazy family acquired Burgforchtenstein in 1622 and gradually enlarged it, turning it into an armory that now forms the largest weapons collection in Central Europe. Hochostrovitz Castle is considered to be one of Austria's most impressive medieval castles. It is situated on a 525-foot dolomite rock in Carinthia and can be seen from 20 miles away on a clear day. Since the 16th century, no major changes have been made to the castle. Some parts of the castle are open to the public every year from Easter to the end of October. The word Schlossberg literally means Castle Mountain, which describes it exactly. It is a hill topped by a castle in the center of the city of Graz, Austria. Among Graz's most famous tourist attractions, the castle, never occupied until its partial demolition by Napoleonic forces under the Peace of Schönbrunn of 1809, was once a place of refuge for Graz's residents. It was turned into a public park in 1839. Festung Salzburg, literally High Salzburg Fortress in German, is a castle in the Austrian city of Salzburg. It sits on Festenberg Hill. With a length of almost 500 feet and a width of over 800 feet, it is one of the largest medieval castles in Europe. Hellbrunn Castle is an early Baroque castle, or palace, near Salzburg. It was built in the early 17th century. Eventually, the castle was renamed Schloss Mirabell, meaning beautiful view. Schönbrunn Palace, with its surrounding buildings and the huge park, is one of the most significant cultural monuments in Austria. The castle was built to rival French Versailles in Baroque beauty and importance, but House Habsburg lacked funds to outdo its rivaling nation France. In earlier times, it served as summer residence to various Habsburg rulers. Due to this historical importance, its beautiful location, and its gardens, this palace is one of the very top sites in Vienna. The entire complex was added to the UNESCO's World Cultural Heritage List.
Hi, welcome to WatchMojo.com. I'm your host Maria, and today we'll be profiling the city of Vienna, home to rulers of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire and masters of classical music. Vienna is the capital of Austria. With a population of about 1.7 million, it is by far the largest city in Austria, as well as its cultural, economic, and political center. Vienna lies in the very east of Austria and is close to the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary. In 2001, the city center was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and an Economist Intelligence Unit study of 127 world cities ranked it third for quality of life. Vienna has a temperate continental climate, with warm sunny summers and cold winters. The average temperature range in January is between 23 degrees and 34 degrees Fahrenheit, while in July, temperatures range between 60 degrees and 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Thunderstorms occur frequently in summer, and snowfall is common in winter. Spring and autumn and the beginning of summer are perhaps the best times to travel to Vienna. Art and culture have a long tradition in Vienna, including theater, opera, classical music, and fine arts. Vienna is home to a number of opera houses, including the Staatsoper. Many concert venues offer concerts aimed at tourists, featuring popular highlights of Viennese music, particularly the works of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and Johann Strauss. The Karlskirche is a church situated on the south side of Karlsplatz, Vienna. It is one of the most outstanding Baroque church structures north of the Alps. Schönbrunn Palace in Vienna is one of the most important cultural monuments in Austria, and since the 1860s has also been one of the major tourist attractions in Vienna. The palace and gardens illustrate the tastes, interests, and aspirations of successive Habsburg monarchs. Vienna is a dream city for anyone with a romantic streak or an interest in history. Sightseeing opportunities are to be found in abundance. Wander along narrow medieval alleyways or across imperial squares. Be inspired by an atmosphere steeped in history, which also boasts the comforts and infrastructure of a modern city. Vienna possesses many park facilities. The Imperial Schönbrunn's grounds contain an 18th century park, which includes the world's oldest zoo. The Viennese Café is a typical institution of Vienna that still plays an important role in Viennese culture and tradition. Viennese cafes have an extremely long and distinguished history that dates back centuries, and the caffeine addictions of some famous historical patrons are something of a local legend. Described as Europe's cultural capital, Vienna is a metropolis with unique charm, vibrancy, and flair. It boasts outstanding infrastructure and has all the inspiration that you could wish for in order to discover this wonderful part of Europe.
Welcome back to the WatchMojo.com TV show. This week's theme is women in music, so check out our interview with Ewa Avila, Lady Gaga, and Krisha Turner.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com. I'm your host, Layla. With us is sweet soprano talent Krisha Turner.
Stop trying, don't you see the look in my eye?
Did you really discover your singing voice at the age of 15?
I was at the age of 15, I auditioned for my church youth choir. I got into that choir, and because before that I really didn't think I could sing, and well, obviously if you pass the audition, you you got a little something, so that's how it started.
Dropping by my work saying you just wanna talk.
When you discovered your voice, did you also discover that you were a writer? Because I understood that you co-wrote 5 of the songs on Passion.
I was at the age of 15. My mother's Jamaican. She sent me to live in Jamaica for a year. I basically went through like extreme culture shock. So I remember when I came back, there was a lot of experiences and a lot of things that I had gone through. And for the first time, for some reason, I had the urge to write music.
How did you react to that hidden talent?
Discovering this talent, I was now experiencing music in a new light because I was the one creating music. I was the one, you know, invoking these emotions from people. I was the one creating it. So to me, it was a whole nother level of understanding and appreciating and loving music.
Your music's been described as jazzy, soulful, that pop-infused R&B. Do you want to share with us your own description of your music?
I'm doing R&B, I'm doing pop, but at the same time, because of the jazz and the soul that is infused in me from, you know, from growing up and what my parents had me listen to, it's inevitable that it comes out in how I sing and how I express my music. So yeah, I just say it's R&B pop with a jazz twist.
How do your songs individually, how do they reflect you versus the whole album, Passion?
I can't take each song individually because it's so eclectic. Like I have Bounce With Me, which I think is extremely pop, and then I have Don't Call Me Baby, which I feel is very ABBA infused. There is very R&B, so to me, I say that you have to take the entire album as one entity. We all have a bunch of things that make up our personalities. So, in essence, Passion is the complete me.
Thank you very much, Krisha Turner.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to WatchMojo.com. I'm Bianca, and today I had the pleasure of speaking with Canadian Idol Ewa Avila about her career, her future plans, and the organization Love. So hi Eva, thank you for joining us.
No problem, it's my pleasure.
You have an album underway, as I understand it?
Yes, I do. I'm working on my second album right now, and I'm writing. I'm developing my creativity as a writer, and I think it's awesome.
Can you tell us what is Love, the organization?
It's an amazing way to help all sorts of different types of people, whether it's the parents or the young kids. I mean, this particular organization reaches out teenagers from, average from 13 to 18 years old. The goal is to prevent violence, right? And it's just to help them express themselves in some ways that they don't have any of that suppressed anger, or their needs are fulfilled in the right way.
So Love is organized and run for youths, by youths. What kind of edge does that give it, do you think, as a charity?
As young kids, it's kind of rare that they have the entire say in everything they do. They run their own newspaper, they do interviews, they do photography, so it's their voice that's heard, their voice that counts.
Did you have a lot of support from parents, teachers, that sort of thing, and do you think that's important?
I mean, everybody's been just so supportive, and it's not even like you hear it all the time, right? That, oh, thank you for your support, but it's really important. It just pushes you further, you know?
Who have been some role models for yourself, professionally and personally?
My parents, they have all my respect and admiration for raising me. In an artistic way, I've always really, really, really idolized Nelly Furtado, Michael Jackson, Prince, all those. Anybody that inspires me.
Well, I'm inspired.
How did you get the name Lady Gaga?
From the Queen song Radio Gaga. All we hear is Radio Gaga.
I've had a little bit too much. All of the people stop to rush by.
Where did you get the inspiration for your new hit single, Just Dance?
I grew up in New York City, and about a month and a half before I went to LA to record Just Dance, I went into this like crazy creative phase. I don't know, I just got inspired by lots of long nights, and I wrote Just Dance.
When you were younger, you used to idolize Michael Jackson and Cyndi Lauper. Who do you admire now?
David Bowie, Grace Jones, Andy Warhol.
So how does it feel to be approached by the Pussycat Dolls or Britney Spears?
It feels great, you know? It's all about the music at the end of the day.
So can you give us a little sneak peek as to who you'll be writing for next?
No.
You have one of the hottest singles out right now, so what do you have planned for next?
I'm hustling crazy in the US. Then I'm going off to Europe. I'm going to the UK, Berlin, Amsterdam, Switzerland, and Australia is where I'm ending up.
Lady Gaga is touring the world.
And I ain't gonna give it up, steady trying to pick it up like a car.
Welcome back to the WatchMojo.com TV show. If you're just tuning in, then you've missed our profile on Kung Fu and Jiu-Jitsu, our travel to Austria, and our interview with Krisha Turner, Ewa Avila, and Lady Gaga. Now to change gears and wrap up the show, we're going to take a look at the world of drifting and modified cars.
Hello everyone, this is Chris with WatchMojo.com here at the 2007 International Sport Compact Car Show. Now here on the show floor, a lot of the car owners and designers have come out to really show us what they can do with their cars and really demo for us what makes their cars unique. I'm here with my friend Frank. He's done some really interesting things to his Mustang here, so I want him to elaborate and let us know exactly what you've done.
It was supposedly a police car. Originally it was a state trooper. When I bought the car was shot. I added a couple of little things to tweak the power.
Have you ever just taken it on the road and raced someone with this?
On the street? I've taken guys.
Don't lie.
Yeah, there's always guys when you reach up a light there, they see a Mustang, they want a challenge. I didn't keep it original. Bumper's been modified. The hood was also custom made. Wing in the back, the same thing. Guys from bottom out, custom made a sound system for me. Custom racing seats. It wants to be pushed. It's not a car you pamper.
Do you think you have what it takes to burn some serious rubber? Hi, welcome to WatchMojo.com. I'm Ashley, and today we're going to show you how you and your car can get into drifting.
I'd say the best way is to come to an event like this and start talking to the driver, start talking to the organizers, the sponsors, and they'll steer you in the right direction.
Find some mechanics that can modify a car, and you can do some very basic modifications to a good rear-wheel drive car. But then tires are really important. That's really what you need to start off with, is tires, because you're going to burn them off pretty quickly.
Is any car able to drift?
You need a rear-wheel drive car. After that, it's good suspension, good tires, good seats.
Some cars are just built right out of the factory, quite neutral, so that means it's predictable and it does what you want it to do. But then people just modify almost, as you can see down the pit lane, almost any kind of car.
How do you train for drifting?
Everybody who practices gets better and better. So really, practice is what you do. If you can afford the time and the tires, that's ideal. But for me, for example, it's my first season. It's only my second event, so I'm just learning, and hopefully with some practice it's going to get more and more fun. It always is, burning tires.
It's fast and dangerous. Hi, welcome to WatchMojo.com. I'm Ashley, and today we get to learn more about drifting from the pros.
Drifting is actually when you take a car and make it go sideways.
Keeps your heart pounding. Yeah, sometimes you get close to the wall and it's either brake or gas, and just try to get through it. If you're looking at the ground, you're going to go to the ground, right? If you're looking at the wall, you're going to hit the wall. You just always need to be chin up, looking at the next corner.
Drifting, the way you win is that you're judged. So there's actually live judges watching you, and they give you about 100 points to start and then deduct points for things they don't like. So they're looking at your speed. They have radar guns to look at your entry speed into a corner. They're looking to see if you initiated the drift by pulling your e-brake or not. They're looking for how close you are to these points called clipping points. If you make enough points to stay in the top 16, then you move on to what's called the tandem drift. And then two cars go up side by side. One time you lead, and one time the other car leads. The judges are pretty clever. They know what kind of car you're driving and what the characteristics of the car should be, so they're knowing pretty much right off the bat if you're using the potential of your car or not, and that's something they consider as well.
Well, that's a wrap, folks. See you next time. I've been your host, Mihaela Koman, and you can catch me at WatchMojo.com.